Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. So today we're going to be taking a look at every base design from Mortal Kombat 1 and ranking them from worst to best. Now, of course, goes without saying this is all just my opinion, and I definitely have some hot takes in here, so please don't be offended or anything like that if one of your favorite designs or even your absolute favorite design is ranked kind of low. It is just my opinion, and I would love to know your favorite and least favorite designs in the comments. Finally, I also want to apologize if you're a Reptile fan. Just because of YouTube, he has to be the one that gets beaten up in all these videos. So I apologize if you're a big fan of Reptile, but unfortunately, it's just how we have to do it. We have to play it a bit safe here. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show off the design in the customization tab, just briefly talking about what I like and dislike about it. Then I'm going to show brief little glimpses of gameplay. I'm sure most of you are aware of what the default designs are, but I just want to showcase them in case some people aren't entirely sure. So this is a new sort of video for me, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. Make sure to consider subscribing if you do enjoy, because the algorithm can be a bit annoying and it isn't showing a lot of my videos to people. So if you could leave a like, share, subscribe, anything like that, it would really help me out and I would appreciate it greatly. So with all that being said, of course, there has to be one design that just doesn't live up to the rest, at least for me, and the last spot for me has to go to General Shao. This design is just a bit boring in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of it. There's nothing that makes it stand out. I think the axe that he has is okay, pretty simplistic, but the design itself is nothing special. The helmet he has on I don't like. The horns are a bit much. I'm not a fan of those either. I know most people aren't. It just feels like a weird touch to sort of throw in there. And yeah, like I said, the helmet is just a bit weird, bit underwhelming. Overall, the outfit just isn't very good. It doesn't stand out. It was sort of difficult picking my least favorite because the next couple I would also consider maybe my least favorite, but for this one, his story sort of came into play as well because of him being General Shao now, which I'm not a fan of either. It sort of made it a bit easier to put him in the last spot. However, the next one might surprise some of you, and that's Raiden. I'm not a fan of this design at all. I think it is far too simplistic. I don't think designs have to be crazy with a bunch of armor, but this is just going too far in the other direction. You can also see a blue shirt underneath or something, which for some reason, I don't know why, that really bothers me. It just makes the design look like he just chucked on a shirt or something underneath, which I really don't like. The back is fine. It's just very, very simplistic. I don't mind a simple design, but to me, just the way the fabric on him looks and the hat's okay, but him being younger Raiden, I'm not a big fan of how they turned him somewhat into a mini Liu Kang. Not a fan of that at all. And yeah, this design is just a little bland. It isn't terrible. I don't think even the General Shao one wasn't terrible. None of these are really bad, but the ones lower on the list are just kind of boring. Next up we have Ermac, and this one's going to be crazy controversial, I can already tell. I'm not a fan of this design at all. I do not like how on his left side, or the right side that we're viewing it from, there's sort of straps going down. Not a fan of that at all. I think this design would have been last on my list if they never added the mask to him. There's also blue sort of undertones to it, which I don't like at all. I do like the back here, how it's a lot longer. That is pretty cool. As I was sort of saying before, the mask is alright. I think it's pretty cool. I do like the hood, and the mask itself is alright, pretty basic. But I don't know why. This design, it kind of bothers me. It's just not very good, in my opinion. I know a lot of people really like it. I think it's one of his best designs, but I'm just not one of those people. I don't really understand. So if you really do like this design, let me know in the comments why, because I don't hate it or anything. It's just not really Ermac, in my opinion. So next up, we have another really simple design, and that's Sindel. I think that this design is okay. I'm not a big fan of the headpiece they have sort of above our eyes. Looks a little strange. The outfit itself is probably the most boring in the entire game, in my opinion. Just little bits of armor that don't add anything. I think the purple, there needs to be another color to sort of complement it, which there isn't. They just went with a sort of light gray sort of color. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of this design. I think her MK11 one was a lot better. Even though she was a Revenant, it just felt like it fit her a bit more. This design is just kind of bland. Once again, not terrible or anything. I just feel like something really big is missing to help it stand out. So, next up we have Tanya. I know a lot of people do not like Tanya in this game. As a character, I think she's okay. Not as good as the original Tanya, but still fine. But obviously today we're talking about the outfits, and this one, This one's okay. I actually like the yellow and the brown and like the grey black they've added to her outfit. I think that they all complement each other really well, and they're all like, it looks quite good. I think the thing for me I'm not a big fan of is, weirdly enough, her hair. I think her hair looks really weird like this. I should have just given her like normal Tanya hair, which she has had in the past games. And the reason I have it low is because while I don't mind the colors and how they sort of contrast each other, it's nothing special. I think every design after this has at least one thing that I like a lot about it, and this one just doesn't have that. Now at the number 24 spot we have Geras. I think that this design is maybe just the most boring. I don't think that Geras has been given enough really as a character and as designs go. He's still quite a bland character. It feels like they kind of forgot he exists in this game. He doesn't have many skins, and unfortunately all of his base designs aren't that great. His default is probably his best design that he has by default, but the red isn't all that cool to me. I prefer how he looked in MK11, and I just think that he doesn't really stand out in any way in this game. As I said, he feels kind of forgotten about, and that's why I have him here. So next up we have Kung Lao. This design to me is kind of the safest design in the game, in that they sort of took a look at certain other designs he's had and then just changed some things, but also kept most of it the same. It reminds me a lot of his MKX design in some ways, and I just feel like this design doesn't take enough risks. It's very safe. I'm not a big fan of the default hat. I feel like there's a bit too much going on, but the hat, it's okay. For me, it's just the base outfit on his actual torso area, just a bit bland, and they didn't change it up enough in my opinion. Next up we have Rain. They changed him to a mage now, so this design makes sense. I like the back a bit more. You can see like somewhat of like a cape kind of going down on his right shoulder. That's cool. I like that a lot. The color scheme I like a bit as well, but when you compare it to his designs in MK11, for instance, it doesn't compare at all. I like the theme of this design. It is pretty decent. I do like it, but there's just something missing in my opinion. You'll notice with a lot of these, it's just they're a bit too simplistic, or something's missing to help them stand out, because this design doesn't really stand out, and it's nowhere near as good as previous Rain designs. So next up, we're taking a look at Ashura. I'm a little disappointed in her base design, to be honest. I like the color scheme. I like that they added a bit of red in the back there, but for me, like all the different like flaps and stuff you have going on here, like they're really long and sticky out a bit, and they're kind of distracting. I don't think it really fits Ashura. Her design in Deception was so good because, you know, it was quite simplistic and the fabric looked kind of nice. In this game, she doesn't even have her hat by default, which I think is crazy. Always got to have the hat with Ashura. Next up we have Quan Chi. I'm happy they changed his design finally. It's been the same basically since MK9. They've, you know, made slight alterations to other designs, and you can still get that design in the store, but this one to me is probably the best one he's had in a while, but it's still nothing special. I do like the blue sort of aqua color mixing with the black. Looks quite cool, but this is one of those designs that, once again, isn't all that special. MK1, honestly, the designs so far haven't been all that great, but none of them are offensive really either. Like it's decent. So next up, we're taking a look at Smoke. This is by far the worst Lin Kuei design in the game, in my opinion. It's maybe the color scheme, like grey and black. I don't know if there's any purple in there. It kind of looks like there is, like very saturated purple. And as well as that, his hair, I'm not a big fan of his hair like this. I honestly don't mind the long hair they gave him in MK9, but the mask as well for me is probably the biggest part. I'm not a fan of this mask. It makes sense, but it just sticks out too much and it looks a little strange. And he just doesn't have enough armor, I don't think. It's just very bland design and nowhere near as good as the other Lin Kuei ninjas, or the ninjas as a whole, really. Then we have Takeda. This design is not as good as his MKX design. I feel like his MKX design also wasn't amazing, but it was solid. This one, weirdly enough, I don't think there's enough yellow. The actual like pattern of the design and like the fabric it's made of, I think was probably the wrong choice. I'm a big fan of the mask and the headband, but I feel like he probably deserved to have a better default design. The color scheme itself is fine, but I wish there was a bit more yellow in there, because right now it's mostly black and a bit of darker greys, and it's just not all that appealing in my opinion, but it's okay. So then now we're going to be taking a look at Johnny Cage, who you might think is a bit too high because it's a pretty basic outfit, but I actually like this one quite a lot because in recent games they've been going with certain like military looks for Johnny, giving him, you know, certain like green like jackets and once again making him look more military, whereas this looks more like movie star type Johnny, which I'm always going to prefer. And I think that it looks, you know, pretty shiny, it looks pretty showy offy. That's not really a way to say things, but you know what I mean. It fits Johnny a lot more, and I am a big fan of it, but it's pretty simple, so I can't put it any higher. So next up we have Cyrax. This design is okay. Obviously her and Sector were changed to women in this game. I don't care about it that much as a lot of people do. I think these designs are quite solid. It's basically the same between her and Sector, except obviously she's wearing yellow, and I think that there's really no similarities. There might be small ones that I haven't fully caught, but as far as I've noticed, they're basically the same design, and ultimately what decided where they were placed was the fact that I just like red a bit more than yellow. So you can probably guess who's next, and that is Sector. Lost my voice a bit there. Sector's next. She has as well, to differentiate her, she has like I don't know what you call it, the thing on the back here that shoots her rockets and stuff. She has that, so it kind of looks like a mini jetpack or something, and this, you know, gives her a lot of her attacks, as well as the fact that, as I said before, I just like red more. I could be going crazy, but I feel like I see little extra bits of armor on her back there, aside from that aren't on Sector. I might be wrong there, but either way, her design just stands out a bit more, and I'm just a bigger fan of the color red than yellow, so that's ultimately why I put her above Cyrax. But I think both designs are solid, but not as good as the normal male ones. So then we have Shang Tsung. I'm sure a lot of you didn't expect him to be this high, but I'm actually a big fan of this design. I actually think I like this more than his base design in MK11. I think that I like it so much because there's a lot of different colors. You got your yellow, brown, there's some red in there, there's some green. You might think that that's too many colors, but it actually works quite well, at least in my opinion. I think this is one of the best Shang looks because it's not really over-designed, but there's a decent enough going on to the point where it's not boring, but it also doesn't hurt your eyes to look at. It's just pretty cool, a decent effort put into this design, I think, and definitely pretty cool. One of my favorites. So now we're taking a look at Reptile. This might be controversial because I know a lot of people love how Reptile was depicted in this game, but I'm one of the few people that actually don't like Reptile in MK1. Gameplay wise, story wise, I think he's okay, but design wise as well, a lot of his skins aren't very good, at least the ones that are in the game by default. And his base design, unfortunately, is still probably his best one that's there, that you don't have to spend money on. I think it's okay. I like the green, obviously that's his color. I'm not a big fan of the actual outfit. I think a better look is like his MKX one, but even here he looks okay, but for me it's just nothing special, and yeah, I don't have much to say. Moving on to Li Mei, I think this design is pretty simplistic, not much going on, but at the same time I don't think you need to have that much going on with Li Mei. It's really just grey and a bit of like white, and of course her main colour is purple. There's some like burgundy sort of on the pants there, which looks pretty cool. But her design is really simplistic, but I don't really know what else they could have done with her. Her deception design is really cool. They could have taken more inspiration from that, and I sort of wish they did, which is why I didn't put this design all that high on the list. But it's still one of my favorites, potentially biased because she's one of my favorite characters in the game, but I still think this design is pretty solid. So next up, we're taking a look at Scorpion. His design is better than Smoke's, but I also think it's too simplistic. For one, I hate the Scorpion tattoo. That is stupid as fuck. I don't know why they gave him that. I'm not a big fan, but I'd like that they kept the red that he had in MK11. They sort of added some red parts to the costume and they kept that here. But I just don't think he has enough armor. Like the armor on his arms, there's not enough. And that's why I don't think his is as quite as good as Sub-Zero's, because there's just not enough going on. It's maybe too simplistic. Simplicity's okay, but not when you go too far. Then we're taking a look at Kenshi. This design is pretty solid. I don't have all that much to say about it. In the middle, it might be a little over-designed, but not to the point where I don't like it. I really like the back where it's quite long. And yeah, the blindfold, pretty simplistic. Nothing really to say. The pants, pretty simplistic as well. You'll notice a lot of the designs are quite simple for MK1, but I actually don't mind it. I think as long as it looks cool and you can tell who the character is, no problems. And I think this is one of Kenshi's best designs. We're getting to the top 10 now, so most of these are going to be quite good. Then we have Baraka. Baraka's design in MK11 was one of my favorites in terms of his base design, and while this one isn't quite as good, I really like it because it sort of depicts his character in this game. You can tell, you know, his sort of point in the game. Like, we know a bit more about his story in this game, you know, with the Tarkat disease and everything. He sort of looks like someone that's been hit by a disease, not just in terms of his mouth with, you know, the Tarkat and all the ouchies on his body and stuff like that, but the actual stuff he's wearing sort of depicts that as well, which I really appreciate. There's a bit more story put into his design, which I appreciate. The color scheme is really good as well. Red, brown, white, you know, all those sort of colors. They all look pretty good together. But yeah, I think this is one of the better designs he's had. So now we're going to be taking a look at Liu Kang. This is a design I'm not too sure what people think about. I don't really see people talking about it all that much. I like it quite a lot. One of my favorite designs that he's had, probably my favorite he's had since maybe MK9. I think that it is really cool. You've got a lot of different colors going on. You've got the gray, white, blue, red, some like brown, gold sort of across his body there. And I actually don't mind that at all. I think that they kept it quite simplistic while adding in a decent amount here. And again, I don't really know what people think of this design, so let me know, because I personally have really liked it ever since they revealed it, but I don't really see anyone discussing this as one of his better looks. But I reckon it is. I think it works quite well, and it definitely gives off the fact that he is, you know, the keeper of time, stuff like that. He's a titan. Moving on, next one that I'm sure a lot of you wouldn't expect, and that's Reiko. I think this is actually a really good design. I think that the black and the grey and the red colour scheme works super well together. Maybe the only thing I'm not a big fan of is his head. Like the makeup, or whatever you would call it, on the face paint on his face, of course, but maybe his headpiece, like his actual hair, which you can change with customization, luckily, isn't that great. They gave him a ponytail, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I think he should have had something on his head, or maybe changed up his hairstyle, because he does look a little goofy at times, but it's not terrible. It's an okay design. Nothing that's going to make you not want to play the character, but definitely one of my favorites for sure. Mileena is at number 6, and I don't know if this is controversial. I feel like this is maybe her weakest design she's had for quite a while. I'm a big fan of her MK9X and even her 11 design, which I know some people don't like. I actually liked it quite a lot. This is probably my least favorite she's had in a while, but it still speaks quite a lot considering it's still in the top 10. It's a pretty solid design. They kept all the stuff in the design that makes it feel like Mileena. They added a bit more gold to this outfit, which I don't mind at all. It adds a bit of that royalty to her character, which there's been gold in her other designs, but I feel like they added a bit more for this one. I don't know, I feel like this design just isn't quite as good, but again, it's still top 6 in my opinion, because it really stands out and it's still a really good outfit. One that I'm sure a lot of you didn't expect to have this high is actually Natara. I'm a big fan of this outfit. Aside from, again, similar to Reiko, the headpiece, I still can't figure out what it is on her head. Like, at first I thought it was maybe just her hair and there was some stuff added to it, but it looks like she has some type of like helmet or something on. I genuinely don't know what's going on there, but everything else about it I really like. There's a bit of detail to it, but for me it isn't overly detailed. The only thing I would complain about as well is the fact that the straps going down her belt sort of look like long strips of bacon, which just makes me hungry. But in general, not really a complaint. The colors fit her design really well. And yeah, I'm really happy they added her to this game, and I think they gave her quite a solid design. Luckily, I think all of her costumes by default that she has are actually pretty solid. So next up, at number 4, we have Katana. This design some people don't like. I actually like it quite a lot. I wish they added a bit of gold to it, similar to Mileena's, but this is still really good. I like the shade of blue that they went with. I also like the mask. They made it kind of, you know, made out of cloth, very simplistic, which I'm a fan of when they do that to the ninja characters. And I like that they added a little tiny bit of purple to the design as well, which I don't remember if they've ever done that before. I think they have in some other games, but never like, sometimes they've made it like fully purple, but this one, they've just added a tiny bit of it to her design, and I like that quite a lot. Her hair as well, weird thing to point out. I'm a big fan of how her hair looks, and she has a little thing on her forehead kind of made of metal. Looks really, really cool. Next up, in the top 3 now, we have Sub-Zero. This design, potentially biased coming out here, but I think it's by far the best Lin Kuei design. There's enough armor on it to make it look really cool, but also it's quite simplistic still as well, and this is honestly one of my favorite Sub-Zero designs, and I know that might sound kind of crazy, But I don't just mean in this game, I mean in general. It might be a top 5 Sub-Zero design to me because it mixes it perfectly. It's really simplistic, but they also add quite enough, a bit of detail to make it stand out, you know, as one of his best. And as I said, I think it's better than all the other Lin Kuei designs because it shows that he's the Grandmaster. There's a bit more armor to it. I do wish it had a hood or something like that to make it stand out a bit, but I still love it. So now coming in at number 2, we have Havoc. I'm sure a lot of you did not expect this, and honestly neither did I when I went back to revisit all the costumes, but this one I like quite a lot. You'll notice with a lot of the ones in the top 5, I'm not a big fan of the head that they have. Like, luckily you can customize it. His hair looks a bit silly, but everything else I really do like about this. The design is kind of boring when you look at it, but it tells kind of like a story with his character, and I just really like the armor that they gave him. The color scheme works really well as well. I can't really pinpoint why I like this design so much. It could be because we haven't seen Havoc for quite a while, so him coming back with a design like this was pretty special. It could have been better for sure, but you'll notice with this game, I don't think any of the designs are perfect, but the closest we have is Noob Saibot in my opinion. Some people do not like this design, especially the headpiece. But similar to what he had in MK11 as Sub-Zero, with a similar sort of Chinese, I believe, headpiece, I actually like this a lot. I think that, once again, you can customize it, so it doesn't matter that much, but I really like it, and I think his actual outfit is really cool. It's really like torn, you can see like bits hanging off of him, which looks really cool. When you look at Saibot, his little clone, you could say, you can sort of see that he has the same outfit on, but it's like shadowy. It's hard to explain, but you'll know what I mean. It's just really cool, and it's my favorite design in MK1. So that's it, everyone. Let me know your favorite design in this game, or rank your top 5 or least favorite. Once again, I want to apologize, no guests were in this video because they just have their designs that have already been made by other creators, so it just wouldn't make sense. Consider subscribing, and I do apologize for any noise you heard in this video. There was actually people doing construction on my house, so sorry about that.